Hello folks, welcome back to another Monday night live stream. As you can see, I'm not alone this evening. I have the wonderful Dave from MS Paints with me tonight. Say hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. Oh, no, that was too easy.
Too easy. How's everybody doing? Hope you are having a lovely week. We didn't have a live stream last week. I was feeling a little bit off the boil. I think I ate something that decided not to agree with me last Monday. So yeah, I think I was in bed for 7 o'clock. So yeah, we didn't have a live stream last Monday. So we got 2 weeks of chat to catch up on. Let's start the evening by saying hello to a few folks. Let us know as well, everybody, if the sound's okay and stuff. I've done all the jiggery pokery at the start before we started, but it's always good to get a bit of feedback as well. So let me know in the chat if everything is okay. Everyone seems to be saying hello. Everyone's saying hi, Dave.
Hi.
Some dude on YouTube saying, "Where are the cats?"
Where
your
are
cats,
the cats?
Dave? Yeah, your cats.
He's outside. He ain't coming in here. Fuck me. I can swear on here, can't I?
Yeah, you're all right, mate. Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah. No way am I letting that little fucker in here. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Dingo Dundee is saying the sound is fine. Cool, all good. So, who have we got in the chat tonight? We've got Colin Mack, Mighty Dice. We've got, is that Kim since 86? Spunky Taz, Blizzaz is in. We've also got, is it Mikhail? I think it is. Type 40 Tardis. Same with Dave. Saying he says, woo, my two favourite YouTubers in one place. My God. Oh, you have low standards. Dave, I could understand, but not me. Major Tom, good evening, Ed. How are you doing? Christian, nice to see you in as well. Thanks, mate. War Daddy Miniatures is in saying, hi, Dave. Colin Wakeland, we've got VJ. Good morning, VJ. Skulldoggery's in. Zingbo, we've got Dingo Dundee. Luke Pryor, hello mate, how are you doing as well? Nigel Jones and saying have a good stream. He's going to catch up on the replay. Hello in the replay, mate, if you're watching it back. We've got Alder Bill in. Super Pumpkin Man saying good afternoon. Bobby Clark, what you painting at the minute, Bobby? Bobby is a commission painter, has some absolutely amazing stuff. So yeah, let me know what you're painting at the minute, mate. We've got Giovanni Zotti, nice to see you in as well. Yoakum, good evening, buddy. He said, listening to Reason and painting minis at the same time, nothing is better. I'm glad you're having a good night, mate. We've got Saber Sedgian, Tony Oates, some dude on YouTube, Wayne Hayward, SB's in as well. Tyrion says, hi from Nottingham. Hello, mate. You're from York way, aren't you, mate? Oh, that's where you live now, isn't it?
Me? Yes,
yeah.
I'm in York. Yeah. I've been here about 7 years, I think.
Yeah. So where are you from originally?
Oh, come on, mate. You don't ask a man that. I'm from Grimsby.
Oh, is that a bad thing to say? Like, I've never been to Grimsby, mate. I'm from Sunderland, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. It's like,
oh you're a Mackham.
Yeah, I live in Newcastle now. I've lived in Newcastle longer than I ever lived in Sunderland. But I had my childhood was all in Sunderland. That's where I'm from. So yeah, I'm still a red and white fan. We've got Kodos is in as well. Loot Pigeon, hello to you as well. Big Mech Dance, nice to see you, mate. Haven't spoken in a while. Sumblin's in. Sumblin is saying greetings to Dave. Where's the frog? Where's health and safety frog tonight, mate? Have you got him locked away? Oh.
Been here the whole time, mate.
He's just been sitting listening. Let's be honest, nobody wanted to see us. Everybody wanted to see him.
That's fine.
There you go. James Zarma's in. Nice to see you. Lazy Mini Painting says good evening as well. War Daddy Miniature said he's tuning in from Spain. Kids have just gone to bed. He's gone from the beer to a cup of coffee to see what you two fine chaps have to say tonight. Fine chaps. I tell you what, I'm getting a lot of praise on the benefit of having you around, mate. You need to be here more often. People are not this nice to me when you're not around.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
People fucking behave themselves around me.
I think that's what it is. I look like I've got the bouncers in. That's what it is. But tonight's chat, anyway, folks, we're talking about what us two fine folks are going to be chatting about tonight. I had a half topic that I was going to talk about, and then I decided I'm going to keep that on the back burner and do it another week. When I'm, one of them weeks when I'm absolutely scraping the barrel, can't think of what to chat about. I'll keep that one for then. And me and Dave are just going to shoot the breeze. We're just going to have a chat. We're going to talk miniature painting. We'll talk a bit of YouTube stuff if anybody's got any questions. Mm-hmm. But if you guys in the chat, you can keep us going as well. If there's any questions that you've got, anything you want to ask, I know obviously a lot of you will know Dave from MS Paint's channel and will have seen the kind of stuff he does. If you haven't and you want to know more about it, please don't leave now, obviously. But later on, go and subscribe to his channel. Check it out. I remember watching some of your stuff, Dave. It must have been your first few videos, and I could tell you were destined you were destined to be doing this, mate. Yeah, you just had a screen presence, I think, like just very natural behind in front of a camera and behind a camera as well. Because some of the stuff that you film is unbelievable. So when you first started, like, was it just kind of, had you been on camera before or anything like that? Because you just seemed very relaxed. It takes a lot of people a long time to get that relaxed. Is it hard drugs? Is it like, was it just, what was it that you started?
I mean, like every white dude in his mid-30s who just entered the first COVID lockdown, I was like, right, okay. I got two choices. It's either podcast or YouTube. So I think I'll have a go at YouTube. Because I used to live in my office where the film company was. Yeah. Which, was completely illegal, but it was so fucking cheap. So the boys cleared out for COVID, and I basically had my schedule cleared for months, and I was surrounded by a film kit. So I was just like, all right, okay. I guess I'll figure this shit out then. Yeah. So that was basically it. I've worked in film / moving image for about 15 years doing music and sound. So the amount of projects I've seen 100 to 200 times over and over again, kind of, it's a good starting block. Yeah. But I'm completely green to a camera. So I started with GoPros. Yeah. Which
I did actually. My first video was a GoPro.
Really?
Yeah. That was all I had. I didn't even have a decent camera phone back then. Like when I started, I mean, not that camera phones weren't like a big thing. I just had a shit phone basically. Just like, so. But yeah, I think my first few videos were GoPros. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're nice little, because I mean, as long as it's that far away, everything is in focus. So you can just focus on telling your story.
That was it. I mean, I think if I remember right, I think the first one I did, I obviously just used the onboard mic like everybody does from a GoPro as well, but the sound wasn't great. Second video, I think I used. I think what I did was I might have had like. I think I'll have had like an iPhone 4 or something random like that. I think I used the earbuds and spoke into the phone. Yeah. And recorded like the audio through the sound app thing on there, and then and then had to learn to edit to put the two of them together at that point. So yeah, it was a bit of a steep curve, but it was fun, man. I enjoyed it. But I think your stuff right from the first few videos, you obviously knew your way around the equipment a little bit, at least enough to kind of sort of to get it. But you had a very natural presenting style. I think that people just instantly. Like the kind of like, I'm gonna sit and watch the whole thing kind of thing, as opposed to like, I just want to get a piece of information out of it and then I'll switch off, because there's a lot of videos like that. Let's be honest. But no, I remember watching your early stuff and just thinking, I think these. Some people you can just see straight away. Some people grow into it. Some people kind of die off a little bit. But I think I could tell you were gonna carry on with it, man. And some of I watched. I'm going back a while ago now, but the one that you did for, it was the painting carrying box thing. Yeah, I forget who makes it. Was it Frontline Gaming? Was it that made the box?
Frontier Wargaming.
Frontier. That was it. That is a piece of filmmaking in itself. I urge every single one of you, if you've not watched this on Dave's channel, what I'll do is I'll after the stream's finished, I'll put a link in the description and stuff like that. But it's just like it doesn't really matter if you're into miniature wargaming or painting or anything like that. It's just for the sheer the Hollywood sort of filmmaking. It was amazing. It was so good. That's how you advertise a product. That's how you get people to watch and see what you're advertising. It was good stuff.
Yeah. The only way to sell a box that holds paint is to just throw guns into the mix. Really,
it's fantastic. Let's have a little look as well, see who else, because the chat is going. The chat's going nuts tonight. We've got plenty of folks in. We've got Busey in as well. We've got Jez Hunt in as well. You see, it's them blokes off the internet thing. We've got Tasty Brain doing hello. Just to let everybody know in the chat as well, Dave hasn't got the chat in front of him tonight. He's kind of he's working with the tiniest amount of bandwidth to get the camera and the microphone working. So he hasn't got the chat open. So if you do have any specific questions for Dave, pop them in there. I'll kind of shout them back, and we'll make sure he gets to see anybody's questions and stuff. John Meach, hello to you, my friend. He says, been looking forward to it tonight. Great to see you both together. We did do this once before, mate, didn't we? And it absolutely fell over flat on its face. And it was around the launch of, was it
Indomitus?
It was Indomitus. I was thinking, is it an 8th or 9th edition? It was 9th edition of 40k.
Yeah.
Because you were painting.
You
were painting Necrons, were you, at the time, or was I painting Necrons and you were painting Space Marines? One of the other two way around.
I think we tried to.
Yeah.
We tried to get a video together where we were just going to basically unbox it and have a look inside it.
That's right.
That's when I thought I could do an unboxing, and that would be cool.
Yeah.
But I liken that experience to two close friends that got a bit drunk, had sex. It was really, really fucking awkward, and we haven't really talked to each other for 3 years. We didn't actually have sex. It was the technical problems. I basically murdered your computer.
Do you know what? I think that was the last time I ever used Skype to try and do any kind of video conference stuff as well. Because I think what I found out from trying to do it, and I think it was the first time, it might have been the first time I ever did a live stream with somebody else as well. So trying to get it all to work together. I think we done a bit of a test earlier on, and it was fine, wasn't it? And then
it was okay, yeah.
And then it fell over, didn't it, for some apparent reason? But yeah, so we have tried to do this once before, but here we are. We're back, and we're looking good. Rich Mid Gaming, thanks very much for the super chat, mate. He says, loved MS Paint's Evil Metal Armor video a few days ago. Perfect timing as I'm jumping into an Isengard army for Middle Earth strategy battle games. Nice, mate. There you go, perfect timing. Where else are we up to? We've got, let me find out. We've got Steve says hello from Connecticut. Nice and close there, all the way over in the States there. We've got War Daddy Miniature says, isn't that a sin going from Sunderland to Newcastle? Do they let you back? I must admit I don't go back very often. But I've got a weird kind of mixture of a northeast accent that is neither really strong Mackham, strong Newcastle. I kind of moved around a bit. I've lived in Sunderland, I lived in South Shields, I lived in Durham, I've lived in like sort of North Tyneside, I've lived in Newcastle. So I think I've got one of those accents that's amalgamated everybody's from around me. So wherever I go, people assume I'm not from around there because they just think that I sound different to the locals kind of thing. So I think I kind of get away with it. Like my dad has the most broad Sunderland accent you've ever heard. Like my dad was a coal miner, worked down the pits for like 30 odd years or whatever, and was like I suppose back in those days, everybody that lived in the area all was working down a coal mine as well. So everybody had this really strong, what they would call it, I think the official term is pit yakka, is the accent, I think. And he has a really strong Sunderland accent, and thankfully it didn't rub off on me. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be doing YouTube, that's for sure. I do get the odd person now and again. I get a mixture of two things. I get one, which is sometimes people from other countries saying it's much easier to understand my accent than someone from from London or quite a broad sort of like southern accent. And then I get the complete opposite of like, I can't understand a word that this guy's saying, like what on earth's going on kind of thing, putting subtitles on. So yeah, there you go. Where are we up to here? VJ's in. Andy kept this one under his hat. Only found out Dave was on when the thumbnail went up. We talked about it a little bit recently, didn't we? So I'm sure we'll come back to it at some point. But the whole YouTube's killing my channel stuff, we were chatting around that time as well. And we were talking about doing something. And then you messaged me and said, things have calmed down a bit now. I can kind of I can do a live stream now if you want. It was let's just do it on Monday. That's it. So we arrange it like Friday or something? We were talking about Thursday, Friday last week. But
it was only a few days ago. Yeah,
it wasn't long ago, so it wasn't a big secret. We only knew ourselves a couple of days back. Bobby Clark said he's just finished 1,000 Suns charity army with 29 artist friends for 40 hours of 40k charity event. Raised £11,000 for a charity over the weekend, and he's a big fan of MS Paints, by the way. Nice one, mate. You'll have to check out. Is it? I'm gonna embarrass myself now. Is it Red Eagle Painting, Bobby? Is that your thing? I'll find out so that you know what it is, Dave. But I check it out. Amazing painter, really good stuff. But when I see what he does, it just makes me want to go. Oh, no, I should really put more effort into what I do, kind of thing. It's a good job. My stuff needs to be good enough from 2 foot away just to be on a table, because I wouldn't be winning any awards with it, but Bobby's an award winner. Rich is saying, yes, 2 of my favourites in one place. Rich, you're too kind, buddy. Thank you very much. Some dude on YouTube said, mid-30s, I feel old. I tell you what, mate, I'm top end of the 40s as well, so I'm saying nothing. I'm an old fella as well. As if the haircut didn't give that away like on its own. Spider Lord said, I'm pretty sure I've seen MS Paints from Luke's videos. I think that's exactly right, isn't it, mate? You've been in a few stuff with Luke and I forget who else. Oh, Benji was in them as well, wasn't he? He was in some stuff as well.
And Pickle Jar, yeah.
That's right,
a big fatal 4-way.
That was it. Yeah. Rich in the cage. Elsa Nation, nice to see you in as well, mate. How are you doing? Jez Hunt says, big up film and TV, folks. So Jez makes leather clothing for like film and TV stuff. So if I don't know if he's specifically done this stuff, but things like Lord of the Rings and The Witcher and all that kind of stuff. Like he's kind of like he's like a leather worker who basically makes. I'm sure there's probably a real title for that. I can't think what it is now. He'll probably tell me. But yeah, that's what Jez does. Where are we here? VJ says, Dave, you seem like a natural in front of the camera. Also, your humour really comes across in your videos as well. It makes your content shine. You're getting your ego stroked tonight, mate, man. This is the place to come, is it, if you were feeling a bit down?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be a dick for the rest of the week because of this. Thanks, guys.
Got to get that widescreen lens on. Danny Lee is saying Hector is skilled with a minigun. He certainly is. We've got Dean Paints things in. Nice to see you, Dean. Dustin Williams as well. Nice to see you. Thank you for the nice comments. Warren Jones, good evening. The chat's going nuts tonight. Grimwolf Players says, hey, dude, from a fellow Geordie. But I think we've established the not Geordie bit, but yeah, we're both from Newcastle right now. Lazy Mini Painting says, if Dave can't have chat, what are you using? No, what I mean is, mate, he can't have the text chat. Like when you're chatting in the YouTube screen, Dave can't see that. That's what I meant. There we go. People chatting a little bit of Middle Earth, chatting backwards and forwards there. Jez is saying no one goes back to Sunderland. Yeah, that's pretty fair, to be fair. James Hoggs is inspired by the video and ratched out my Metal Sauron and found a bunch of the OG Metal Orcs. So that's on the paint desk in the coming weeks. Keep up the great work, Dave. Nice one. Nice. Red Rose Wargaming, good evening, Anna. Nice to see you in as well. VJ says, as the visiting Aussie, I found Andy's accent easy to understand. Yeah, I've been asked if I'm Scottish, Irish, and Welsh before. I think there's a little bit of kind of heritage. I think like kind of from the northeast as well. So I think there's a bit of weird stuff. Colin Max says, Dave, I picked up the Resident Evil 3 board game and I'm waiting for Resident 1 to go with Resident 2. Are you a fan of Resident Evil 3, mate? Is that the board game for you, is it?
I am. I've not played the Resident Evil 3 board game yet, but
I did remember.
I played the Resident Evil 2 one.
Yeah, I've got 2 as well. It must be in the other. Oh, no, it's over there, yeah. I've got Resident Evil 2 as well, yeah. It's I quite like it, actually. Some of the components were a bit cheap looking, like things like the cardboard doors and stuff.
Yeah.
But I backed the Kickstarter, so I got all the plastic doors and all that kind of stuff as well. The pimped out version, so yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Christian, so sharing the link there as well for the Patreon. Thank you very much, folks. So you can join the Patreon. Starts at $2 a month. And actually, I've just had an email before I started today to say that Patreon are changing something now, so that you can have monthly recurring payments from the date that you subscribe. Because currently the way it works, if you subscribe today on the 26th of the month, they will charge you today and then they'll charge you again on the 1st of every month. So you end up paying twice quite close together. But they're about to change that now as well for new subscribers, that when you subscribe, it just takes it out on the same date every month. So there's none of this kind of, I'll not subscribe today, I'll wait until next month kind of thing. So that might help a few folks as well. Dingo Dundee says, all good, I can understand the accent. I'm using my universal communicator. Thank you very much. ER910, greetings to you as well, mate. Bobby's saying Red Eagle Studio. That's the one, mate. Check that one out when you get a chance, Dave. Red Eagle Studio. There's a lot of stuff on Instagram if you're on there as well. Tony Howell, good evening, mate. How are you doing? He says, Dave, love your content and humour. Now that we have Health and Safety Frog infused with elder mythos energies, I wonder if we'll see the stranger case of Health and Safety Frog. Yeah. Have you got any up and coming Hollywood movies ready for the cutting floor?
No. And nothing too elaborate planned with this guy currently.
Not yet.
No.
Dustin Williams, good evening. He's saying, where's Health and Safety Frog? Do you know what it is? I think I can see him on you, but because you're cropped down in a nice little square on my screen, I think they can't see him. That's what it is. He's just off. He's just off to the right a bit. There he is. That's perfect. There you go, folks. Everyone keeps asking. Where else are we up to here? What Daddy Miniatures is saying, Dave, you're getting more love in this video than you do in your own. Normally the case, mate. And he's just come over for a bit of praise. That's all it was. Here's a question for you as well. It's his question for Dave. Does Hector have an evil twin, a sickness and high risk commissar? There you go.
He does have a parallel universe one, which is disease and danger frog. Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is it like where? Because I can remember. I can remember. Oh, it's I forget what he's called now. Your other young friend, a small what's he called? The other puppet thing.
Oh, Tony.
That's the one I remember. So I remember Tony being in quite early on, wasn't he? Quite early in the video.
He was in the first video. Yeah.
I thought he was. Yes, but so what made you bring? I mean, it really did set like kind of it was really like, oh God, this is something different. This is quite fun. This, but where did it come from? Where did the idea come from?
I mean, I used to work as a puppeteer in a traveling kids show, which very convoluted series of events how I got into that situation. But eventually parted ways with that group, with my puppet under my arm, and they were like, "Oh, you're taking Tony?" I was like, "Fucking obviously I'm taking Tony, you twat."
No, he's going. He's taking me with him.
Yeah. And then when I sat down and started thinking about, all right, what do I want to do with this YouTube thing? It's a case of I'm going to try and put my entire skill set, a collection of nonsense, into one thing. And that's kind of how it did. It's like, well, what have I got that's different to others? And I've got a puppet. So we'll start with that.
Nice one. I remember, like I say, just kind of like watching it, and then
why
all of a
not?
sudden,
And now he's
Tony.
the sponsor guy now.
And what I must admit, I was just showing my wife one of them today. Actually, I think it might be the latest one as well. Oh, it was because of the Squarespace, the Ring website. I thought it was good stuff, man. Really good. James L says he just wanted to say thanks for the paint tips, Dave. He has problems with his spine and his hands, and they are so helpful. There you go, mate. Yeah.
What we like.
And Busey saying, I remember a scene with MS Paint at a set of traffic lights. Maybe a geek gaming vid. Someone forgot to push the button and everyone was standing there for ages.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one. SB saying Ewok army is mobilised. There you go. Graham Riggs says, good evening, everybody, as well. We got Captain Madden. Jez says, technically, so this is the leather work. He says, technically, it's costume effects, but it's general leather work, armor belts, weird shit. Recently worked on the forthcoming Willow series. There you go. So that's what he does. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I know. He's always working on something and goes, I can't tell you what it is, though. I can't tell you. Not until I'm finished. Yeah. Not until it's on TV, and then I can tell you what I did. Riverside Miniatures says, would Dave recommend program-wise for someone getting into editing videos, both for video and sound? So, I mean, we're getting into technical stuff, but what do you use? What do you use for your editing? Do you use a different audio sort of software, or do you just bang everything? Yeah. What do you use, mate?
Video I put together in Premiere.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's what my company uses, so it's workflow. We can network everything together. Premiere hasn't changed since I was in college, so I knew how to use it from when I did like GCS A-level film. But in terms of audio, because I've worked with a piece of software called Reaper, and I've invested a lot of money in plugins for Reaper for audio restoration, I tend to bounce all the audio out to Reaper and just do it in post there. And people do normally always compliment me on the video sounding quite nice and balanced and weighty and mixed. So I'm just going to keep bouncing it out to Reaper, which means exporting stuff off the MacBook onto a hard drive and putting it on the PC to Reaper. But it's the best results for me that way. Premiere's got a lot of stuff under the bonnet for audio, though. There's a lot of really nice plugins. So you can do everything in Premiere.
I'll do everything in Premiere. I must admit, I sometimes clean if there's anything that needs cleaning up a little bit. I'll sometimes clean it up externally, but generally I'll kind of I've got a separate audio track to my video. I'll mix the two together and I'll play around with it in Premiere and stuff. But I still edit everything. I used to use a bit of a dodgy copy of Premiere when I first started on YouTube, but then as I kind of was using it more frequently, I thought I should start paying for this stuff now. So I do pay for Premiere now, but I never used to. I started with Vegas, but it crashed a lot when I was first kind of getting into it. So that's when I started using in Premiere. Grimwolf Players says I've got too many battle mechs to paint for BattleTech, including 12 mech company for Black Widow company. So somebody's painting mechs tonight then. Spider-Lord said he's got the fellow with the metal fellowship with the resin and balanced tomb, but I remembered that, so isn't his painting entry. Yeah, talking of painting entry, so every month I do a bit of a painting challenge for the folks on the live streams and the community, and there's always a bit of a theme, but it's kind of a bit open-ended so folks can paint what they want. The challenge this month is about one of your miniatures or something that you've just forgotten about, where you had best intentions of painting something, you might have got halfway through it and put it on the to-do pile kind of thing, or there's a box that's fell down the back of your desk and something like that you forgot about it, whatever it is. So that's what folks are painting this month, and I can't remember what date I gave people for the deadline. So the deadline is next Sunday, and then what we'll do is on the Monday night we'll basically we showcase everybody's painting jobs and the work that they've been doing. So if you haven't entered yet, folks, you've still got another week. Dean Payne thinks this is 100% an everyone stroke Dave session. He's going to have to take a month off YouTube now to calm down. I think you'd be all right in a couple of weeks, won't you, mate? I don't think you'll need a full month.
I think, I've had a few come downs in my time, and this one definitely feels like a 2-dayer. I should be fine, guys. Thank you, though.
Nice one. Let me just skip down here a little bit much. Where are we up to here? Tony Howell said he does the Middle Earth minis. They're really nice. Apologies for the autocorrect. I left it as it was funny. It does say the Middlesbrough Earth minis. So and that was why I kind of paused a little bit. Where I mean, why is he talking about Middlesbrough minis? I don't know. And then it dawned on me what he meant. Yes. Dean saying he finished off his batch of 24 Moranan Orcs, is it? So solidly back on Middle Earth. I'm feeling like Middle Earth's getting a bit of love now with the new box that's coming out. Have you played the game, Dave? Have you?
I played the first edition Fellowship.
Yeah, because I tried. So the last box that's just been replaced. In that starter box is the second version, I believe. I think. So the one that's out now is almost the third edition. I tried with the second edition one. Me and my brother-in-law went to a gaming event down in Manchester. Everybody there was playing Middle Earth and stuff, telling us how great it was. We should try it and stuff. So we picked up the starter box. We went halves between us. We both painted up half of the starter box. Come together to try and play it, and we struggled like mad to play it. To be honest, everyone was telling us best game GW's ever written. Really straightforward, dead simple. And I think it's one of those games where if somebody gives you a demo, you probably go, oh yeah, that seems pretty obvious. That's how the game plays. But trying to learn it from the rule book, the rules were scattered all over the place. Like things like trying to find out, like, because I think there's horses in the starter box for the Is it Rodan? I forget what they're called now.
Rohan.
Rohan.
Rodan's from Godzilla.
That's it. Yeah, from the Rohan army. I think there's horses in there, and we were trying to work out like how do they attack? Everything in the books telling us about how like a man on foot attacks kind of thing, and we were flicking backwards and forwards, and it was like, oh god, I give up on this kind of thing. So we really struggled with it, but everybody says about how good a game it is, and I think it's one of those things. I until not that long ago, only just saw the films recently. I've never really been a fan of fantasy stuff generally.
Oh wow!
I was always more like kind of like sci-fi stuff. So I never read the books when I was a kid. I was never really into Lord of the Rings. I didn't see the films when they came out, and it's only in the last few years I've actually gone back and watched the films. And so I don't really have the emotional ties, I think, that some people have to Middle Earth. I know a lot of people absolutely love it though. Scott Latham, good evening to you, mate. Nice to see you in as well. Ariel Sanchez has just come in as well. Good evening to you too. I'm only about 10 minutes behind the chat. I was just wondering how far behind I was. Dean saying Tony is a paid up Squarespace employee now. That's it now. Squarespace have him. War Daddy says Squidmar's next video he'll have a stuffed lizard and a Jewish puppet to try and boost the views. I saw Squidmar was doing a live stream today actually. Is that the first one he's done? I just happened to see it while I was on YouTube looking at something else, and it came up saying he was live at the time. So
it must be because he's never done one before. I don't think.
No, I didn't think he had either. It was the first one. He was doing all right though. He had a good 1,000 viewers in or something like that. Like so, he was doing something right for his first one.
He's doing okay, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't think he's worried too much about where his next views are coming from. He's doing all right. What Daddy seen can't wait for the Willow series. Yeah, I think that the trailer looked pretty cool actually. I did see the trailer for the Willow series. Elsa Nation says he's got to head off. Got an insane amount of painting to do in the morning, so he's going to catch up with you later. Thanks very much, mate. Catch you after. Camo's just come in as well. Good morning to you. Let's have a little look further down here. Dingo Dundee says, what's a good camera to record your painting for streaming? I tell you what, the best camera is the camera you've got, really, because it's not something you want to be spending vast sums of money on, especially when you're first getting started. No. But what I don't know, what kind of stuff. I guess you might be a little different to others who haven't access to different kind of kit and stuff. But what kind of camera equipment do you use for your painting videos?
I mean, my first proper all grown up YouTube camera was a Canon M50, which I think you can pick up for about 400 quid.
Yeah.
Now, second hand.
Are they the mirrorless ones?
Which is a really nice 4K camera. Yeah. And I'm on a Sony A7 III now, but I shot a couple of the last videos, some segments, on a 200 quid Sony camera that a mate was selling. Ultimately, you can start with a cheaper body, and it's really affected by what glass you put on the end, essentially. Yeah. But that said, the lenses I use now, like the better and higher production value look in the videos I've got, I've actually downgraded to lenses from the 50s and 60s because they're like, it might sound like quite a bit, but my favorite lens is 200 quid.
Yeah.
But obviously,
lenses compared to like 700, 900, £1,000, you go,
Yeah.
The sky's the limit, really, isn't it, when it comes to stuff like that. I filmed a lot of stuff, especially the first camera I ever really bought for YouTube wise was I actually bought a camcorder, because at the time I don't really think like kind of DSLRs were really like kind of, they weren't really in at that point in time, I think. And I've got a Panasonic 4K camcorder, and actually I still use it now for a lot of stuff because it, especially when you're doing longer form stuff, like long work, because a lot of cameras, unless you can get in and kind of hack the software, a lot of them shut off after 30 minutes for some legal reason. And so I still, for certain things, I still use a camcorder for that. And it's got a really good autofocus on it. It's like, I don't really have to worry about kind of getting sort of getting things into frame. If I film it in 4K, it means I can crop in. And I'm not worried about where it is in the in the shot and stuff. And I think I think I bought that camera second hand when I was first doing YouTube and stuff, and I'm still using it now, like kind of 5 or 6 years later. So it's not always about buying the latest kit. Like so many people these days now, just decent camera phones on a good mount kind of thing, really, and shoot it in 4K as well. I think it's different once you've been doing it a while. You get interested in the equipment as well, and it's not necessarily a case of like you need better stuff. You just kind of want it because it's like that almost becomes part of your hobby, doesn't it?
100%. Like I think people now and again, like when I went to ChillCon recently, they were like, "What are the content creators do you watch?" And I'm like, I watch my mates' channels, and then the rest is just camera stuff, camera lenses, just tech toys. Because you're essentially, when it gets to a certain point and you want a certain amount of subscribers and you want to push it to that next level, you're basically competing with people who are shooting on Reds or Arris. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking studios and people with cameramen, and like you're not like talking about one guy in a room like we are kind of thing. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, like some of the channels, especially things like, I think because there's still a feeling, I think, especially amongst a lot of kind of miniatures channels, and wargaming channels, especially, that like. How can I kind of put this? Is that essentially we're all each other's kind of, competition's not the right word, but like we're all competing for views kind of thing. Where really that's not the competition. Really, the competition is the channels that are getting millions of views, the ones that have really upped the game, and the ones that are telling a story and putting together like little mini documentaries. And like if you can break into that's where you go from like sort of 3, 4, 5,000 subscribers, and then start climbing up into the 50s, the hundreds. So there's a tipping point where you think, I've been doing this long enough, I'm enjoying it, like I'm not going to just give it up next week, and then I think then you start to get hooked on the equipment and start spending more money down the line. So which
is, I think that fair enough. It's probably the way to go. Like if anyone were to ask me for advice about how do you do a YouTube, it would be to understand cameras, understand it as a storytelling device, understand how to. We're not talking like the Pelican Brief, but learn how to construct a narrative. Not a big one, just like an A to B, and some smaller ones in between. Because if you decide that you hate YouTube or it doesn't go your way, you kind of come out of that bubble. But you know how to use a camera, you know how to take pictures, you know how to light things, you know how to construct stuff. So you could kind of just go away and be a videographer. It's not that hard to get into.
It's kind of hard because like when I first started, YouTube was more, especially like miniature YouTube or wargaming YouTube, was really just an extension of people's like forum posts and blogs where somebody would sit with a camera and go, "This is what I've been painting this week," and like just point the camera down. This is what I've painted, and I think I'll do them next week. And I'm looking at these. I might pick these up. And they weren't storytelling. They were just like, as opposed to typing something out and putting a picture on it. Like they were basically putting like a little mini vlog kind of thing. But it's come a long way since that.
They were just telling.
Yeah. Now they're just the people are crafting stories and editing and putting color framing on it and all that kind of stuff, and like color grading rather. Things have changed. Grimwolf says the last box, Lord of the Rings, The Battle of Pelennor Fields. Before this one, that's the one, mate. That's the one I was thinking. Tiny Friend says, does Dave have plans for more retro mini videos? I just got back into minis after a year away, and I love that there are more people making videos around old metal Rogue Trader minis, which are his favourite. So do you have plans for any more retro stuff, mate?
Yep, I got a room full of the shit behind me. I got an attic full of the shit up there, and I got the studio at work full of the shit. It was an early conscious decision. Was I'm not new release chasing.
No.
Because that's too fucking expensive. You can buy older shit for cheaper, like the Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah.
Like everything I've spent so far, I've got boxes and boxes of metal minis, loads of cool characters. I got the original starter set, and I've still spent less
Yep.
than what I would on the new Osgiliath set, and I've got more, and it's cooler stuff. So yeah, there'll be plenty of retro stuff coming. There's just mountains of it. Yeah.
So, did you kind of start with with GW stuff, and is that why you've got a load of old stuff, or have you bought old stuff, haven't getting into it later?
Oh, both, unfortunately, for everyone that has to exist with me. So there's like a childhood army, a childhood collection, sorry. My dad used to hoover up car boots when stuff. Back when Hero Quest was £5 complete for a box. So we got loads of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just bought more of the old stuff recently to sort of go with it, because I'm kind of nostalgia chasing. I got back into GW about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is nice. This is really enjoyable. But I want the stuff that I had or couldn't have. Yeah. And that goes PlayStation 1 collection, Laserdisc collection, VHS collection, big box PC collection, Windows XP machine there. You know, I'm just... the Warhammer is not an isolated incident in this house. It's all go.
You are of retro origins. You like your kind of retro stuff.
Yeah.
Nice one. Bill making stuff. Thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Yeah, he said that's towards a red camera. Thanks very much, mate. A few more of them, we might get there one day. Thank you very much. And I think somebody also joined the Patreon as well while we're chatting. I think it was Dingo Dundee. Thank you very much as well, mate. I didn't get a chance to say thank you for that. Much appreciated. Ed saying it's a bit odd to see all the M. What does that mean? When Asmodee just brought the license in GW and New Line deal expires next year. Oh, I think you must be talking about all the Lord of the Rings stuff. The GW are pushing looks like a fire sale, really. Oh, he's saying that the license expires next year. I didn't realize that, because I was thinking. I remember seeing a video about GW getting the license, and at the time, I think. Basically, the way the license for Lord of the Rings was split up was essentially, as long as two people didn't make the same thing, there was licenses available for everybody. So one company built a lunchbox, somebody else could build a flask, somebody else could do a board game, someone could do a miniatures game, someone could do pajamas. I think it was like split up all over. But I'm assuming if the license is finishing at some point, it's an interesting one, because I mean, I assume it makes them money still. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep releasing kind of new bits and pieces for it. So, like, how do they walk away from that in a year's time? If that's the case, you'd assume they would try and do something with it. Because I can't see how.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say I can't see how they would just almost like. Well, they have done it in the past, let's be honest, but I couldn't see how they would like overnight just go, oh, it's gone. Like you know, I mean, the game still exists, but is there a point where they just they don't make stuff for it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's a colossal miniature line for it, and the amount of investment they've put into it, that is a lot of molds and a lot of printing presses that won't do anything. And I think it might need clarification, but I think their license is for the New Line / Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
The movies, the 6 movies, which I think the Lord of the Rings license in general, obviously because Amazon paid a load of money for it, is worth more than specifically licensing likenesses and terminology from the New Line films. I think that's its own little bubble.
Right.
So they might have a pretty sweet retainer deal on that.
They might be able to kind of renew it. Interesting.
Yeah.
The other side of it is they might be eyeing up all of that production capacity for the old world for when it comes back as well. So who knows? That might be part of their.
It's true.
That might be part of the plan. That might be why we haven't seen anything from the old world yet. It's a case of like, you know, in a year or two's time, we'll have all this spare capacity. So I wonder if that's part of it as well. Who knows? Tyrion says Emil from Squidmart is a great guy. I'm sculpting for him. Very nice, mate. Solvent Abuse UK. Good evening. Nice name. Dean saying he's got a dash as well. Nice to pop in. Big love to you both. Thank you very much for popping in, mate. Much appreciated. VG saying he prefers camcorders for filming as well. Not a huge fan of hacked DSLRs for filming. I use DSLRs more for the lens, being able to change the lenses on them and stuff like that, and portability as well. Like they're relatively small and relatively light these days as well. But so I use that's what I'm using this evening, and when I'm filming most of my stuff, that's what I've got a few that I've dotted around for multiple shots and stuff. Tiny Friends, he likes using a 4K Sony camcorder for painting mini videos. Batteries last long, everything's typically in focus, and 4K allows you to work in 1080 and crop. Yeah, exactly, mate. Bill making stuff says, "Evening, gentlemen, camera talk." Yeah, I think I'm a little bit. I'm about 10 minutes back in the chat now. I'll gradually catch up. Here. Let me skip forward a bit. War Daddy says you can still paint a good mini with a shit paintbrush. I'm guessing it's the same with a camera. Ish. I think it's
ish.
Yeah, ish is probably right. You can capture a good story, I suppose, but if the image is a bit off, like if the camera's just not very good, then I guess it's a bit different. There's a lot to be said about. I think there's a lot of stuff that we take for granted when you see something that looks fantastic. That that it might be 50% the camera's quality and 50% the person who's using it like actually really knows what they're doing with it and stuff. Because I think the opposite's true. You can have amazing equipment, but if you don't know how to use it, you'll get a shit picture basically. I think the opposite's true. And yeah, Bill making stuff there saying, yeah, understand entertainment, 100%. I think that's what we were saying, really, wasn't it? It's not just you're crafting, something for people to watch. I always think YouTube was essentially, it's either kind of you're either trying to teach somebody something because they're looking at how do I fix my door handle, or my lock stuck, how do I get the lock undone kind of thing, or you're kind of you're telling a story, you're providing entertainment really. So it's one of those two. VJ saying, yeah, the narrative and storytelling aspect of Dave's videos are probably my favourite part. Yeah, absolutely, I would agree as well, mate. Riverside Miniatures says, what gaming club centres would you guys recommend in the northeast, including York in the northeast geographically? Have you got a gaming place that you go to on a regular or semi-regular basis, mate?
There's a night just started at Travelling Man in town, dead centre of town, run by some really nice people, nice welcoming environment. Also have Magic nights, Yu-Gi-Oh nights, stuff like that. And obviously our mate Ross at EH Gaming, I think he has organised play nights and organised play weekends. So those are probably my two favourite in terms of like a welcoming environment. Yeah. We have just got a geek retreat, but I think my only time in that geek retreat, it was full of children shouting. So probably not that one for me. Yeah.
And further northeast, like for me, there's not a lot of stores so much up here with gaming spaces. So you tend to find there's a lot more gaming clubs dotted around. So one of the ones I've been to kind of more frequently is Newcastle Warlords, which is in Fordon. They're on a Thursday evening every 2 weeks. There's a few starting to spring up, I think, that I haven't been to yet as well. There's a place called ProTech, I think it is, Middlesbrough way. They're quite new, I think. They've just started up. I'm trying to remember the other places now. Essentially, the best places that there's a couple of I'm trying to think what they are now. There's a couple of like Facebook pages now where the northeast guys kind of seem to arrange their games and stuff, and they're not necessarily linked to gaming clubs or stores. They're more kind of like, we're having a game tonight, we'll go to such and such a place because it's open on a Thursday, or we'll go somewhere else because it's open on a Monday or something. So I think I think that's probably the best way. Have a dig around on Facebook for the particular game that you want to play as well. Let's have a little look down here. Nostalg again, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, I was expecting a YouTuber boxing match. We're lovers, not fighters, Dave, aren't we? That's the difference.
Absolutely.
Where are we up to here as well? Skimming down here. Yeah, Grimwolf was saying Amazon paid $500 million for the show alone. I thought there's obviously there's still some life left in that, though, isn't there? That's obviously the thing. Paddy Mick says Hector's having a staring contest with 105 people at once. What a boss frog. I like that. Andrew Fairbanks, hello mate. He says, this is what happens when you miss a day of your weekly quota for YouTube. I show up late. Terrible, mate. How very dare you? Welcome anywhere. Discourse, hello there. How you doing there? She says, I prefer the scale of Lord of the Rings minis. Controversial topic there, I think. I actually don't prefer. I find the smaller scale, my old eyes don't like the smaller scales quite so much. The more natural scale, shall we say. I think I just like chunkier minis to paint. I think I like something that's maybe like a 35 mil, something like that, like just a bigger scale or a bit more heroic scale kind of thing. Just because my old eyes and my paint skills aren't great either, to be fair. So I like to be able to see what I'm painting.
Fair.
Paul Inman, good evening, mate. He says, rumour has it Warner are working on a TV series called War of the Roam, which will likely breathe life into the New Line cinema license. So GW probably aren't looking to can Middle-earth. Yeah, it'd be interesting, mate. I've not really thought about it, and I hadn't realised that their license was up in the near future. So just because it's up doesn't mean it won't be renewed anyway, that's for sure. Bill saying it's all about the black magic. It is when you've got black magic money. That's a different level of the world, isn't it?
I did use, to be fair. And, you know that. Have you seen the? You can say if you haven't seen it, the Terminator Genesis video.
I have, mate. Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's getting a bit of love actually at the minute as well. I saw even Riverhorse had retweeted it. Yeah. Basically, a video where I conned 80,000 people and kept them hanging for 30 seconds, and they found out it wasn't a fucking Warhammer game. So fucking satisfying. But as you say, with black magic money, if you're gonna shoot a video on a black magic and you rent one, I ain't settling for 5,000 fucking views on that. No, that's it.
Beautiful camera.
Look fantastic.
What a colossal pig that thing is to operate.
I've heard that from there was another channel I've seen using them as well, and they said something really similar. That actually, like almost the extra effort it takes to learn to use it and to manage it, if you like, what almost wasn't worth the output kind of thing.
Almost,
almost, yeah. But they do look amazing.
Almost when you're fiddling around with the footage in post, and you're like, this was underexposed by 4 stops, and you just turn up the exposure, and you're like, it's completely fine.
That's why I paid all that money for that camera. Yeah. As opposed to, well, that's garbage. That's not getting used. Absolutely. Discourse says, I filmed most of my content on my mobile phone. I think you certainly can. I think it certainly depends upon the kind of content you're doing, and I think that's relevant as well. Like if you're doing nice cinematic sweeping shots, like I've done things over the years where I've bought sliders, so that instead of like when I first was doing them kind of shots, I was dragging my camera along a table on a tea towel kind of thing, trying to get a nice smooth and then it was like, I need to invest in some kind of kit and stuff like that, and like panning around on the tripod and stuff like that to get them shots. But I guess it just depends on what you want to do. If you're doing a lot of static work, like you're filming painting video, you're filming like a kind of a talking head type thing, to be honest, the sound quality is probably the most important, because people will watch something that's not quite perfect, but if it sounds a bit off, I think it's instantly a turn off. And I also think that what was the other thing I was going to say? Lighting as well. You can get a decent picture if you light the scene or light the set properly as well. If you don't light it, you're going to struggle with, like most camera phones struggle because you need to get loads of light into them. Like they're great for taking outside photographs. They're not so good for nighttime, and it's light. That's the big difference. Let's have a little look, Chun. Andrew saying your phone's camera's been better than most cameras since iPhone 7. Yeah, I think that's it as well. I mean, I don't even know what kind of mine is now. Mine might be a 12 or something like that, but it's decent for like bits and pieces. Like if I'm out and about somewhere, I won't worry about getting a bit of B-roll on my phone kind of thing as a nice little backup and stuff like that. Yeah. Let's have a little look down here. Where are we up to? Craig's saying in New York, there's Garrison Wargaming Club. Meets on a Wednesday from 6:30 in the new Urswick Village Hall. There you go. Battle Bunker in Sunderland. Battle Bunker in Sunderland has only just in the last weekend, I think it is, opened up their gaming space. Since they moved to their new store, they've only just this weekend, I think, opened up gaming space. Dingo Dundee saying, I find my Panasonic HC V180 camcorder very good to use, even though it's older. I'm trying to think what mine is now. Mine's an HC. I can't remember what it is now. Bill Making Stuff says, do you play a character when filming for YouTube? Interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself? You can answer first. I'm interested.
I don't think I do. I mean, I think I kind of. How would I phrase it? I try to be a bit more animated than I normally am. I wouldn't say I was quite like, because you can look very still on camera if you like. If you were sitting having a normal conversation, if we were sitting in a pub having a chat, we wouldn't we wouldn't kind of articulate quite so much. I think so. I do think I try and animate my body a bit more, and I do think I might even in the way I talk, it might be a bit more kind of a bit more animation to it as well. But but as a personality, I am who I am really, because a lot of my stuff over the years has been stuff like it's like live streams and stuff as well. So I think because I had the mix of two, I think it would be hard to be a character on a live stream kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm not an actor, that's for sure. But you play yours a bit different.
Kind of similar to yours, but I guess more deliberately intentioned might be the way to say it.
Yeah,
is because of my health. I have up days, I have down days.
Yeah,
There's been entire videos I've produced where I've had a migraine for the entire fucking time. So I've got me, but slightly slowed down, less sweary, if you can believe that. Speak a little bit slower, try and enunciate better.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to do now, because my generic person to person accent is fucking filth. It is dirty. It is gutter talk. So I've tried to clean that up a little bit, and I try and hit a point of enthusiasm I can maintain, even though I'm miserable and have a thumping headache. So there's kind of a switch. That I try and reach. But then I suppose I interact with puppets and cuddly frogs. So
it's funny because I get
there is a bit of a character.
Yeah, I'm trying to like think back now. Really, like have we been doing this for long enough now to the point where maybe it is a characterization? Like, because I'm not that kind of outgoing in general life. I'm not somebody that just wants to walk up to strangers and go, hello, how you doing, kind of thing. I'm not I don't know. People might think that I'm like even like unapproachable kind of thing. Or I might be a bit like sort of not up myself kind of thing. I guess I'm more shy in real life. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't necessarily feel like kind of like sort of comfortable talking to strangers, if you like. But I think that's more. I think that's more just like I don't know. I think that's just. I don't think I'm great at small talk, weirdly. Bearing in mind that I can sit here and talk for 2 hours on a live stream, I think, like, generally, I think I'm just not a good, like, kind of like small talk kind of person, really. So yeah, maybe I have created a character without even realizing it. Who knows? There you go. God, I feel like I'm lying on the bench now. So what does that tell you about your mother? How does that make you feel? Luke Pigeon says, can't find any way to play Star Wars Legion by me, trying to rope some friends in. Yeah, get some friends in playing. Grimwall's asking if you're planning on painting the Aliens versus Predator minis on camera. Have you got any plans to work with them, mate?
Sorry, you caught me off guard there.
Sorry.
Yes, I do. When I stop buying the bastards. Because... Yeah, do you remember when Prodos went out of business, basically because 20th Century Fox slapped their wrist and said, you are fucking shit with this license. Give the license back, which deservedly.
Which is fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, they were crap with it. I think there's still people waiting for their Kickstarter box sets in 2015.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But I bought everything they had on that line, and then every time I saw a box set cheap in like a friendly local game store, and it was the original starter set for 50 quid, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, yeah, go on then. So I just kept stacking these fucking boxes up. Do you want the drop ship? Oh, how much? 100 quid? Obviously. Yeah, come on then. And Elston, who was just in the chat earlier, at some point I'm buying his collection off him. It's a weird OCD thing. I can't
say no.
Not buy the AVP stuff. Yeah. At some point I'm gonna, do a cool alien jungle board, or maybe the LV426 3D printable modular corridors that they do, the Weyland-Yutani facilities. I will do a big thing about that game, I think, because of course I've bought all the fucking miniatures, but I've never sat down and played the fucking thing. But it's one of those things like Star Wars Legion, where it doesn't have that boundary like Warhammer does, where I can just go up to a mate and say, do you want to? Have you seen Aliens? And they'll be like, yeah. Have you seen Predator?
Do you want to play a game?
Do you want to play a game with this? Yeah. And they'll have a go. There's so many people that will have a go on it. So that's down the line for sure.
It's funny you say that, because I think that is a lot, especially these days where there's a lot more licensed stuff. Like, for example, when I got back into wargaming, because I had a bit of a break from it and stuff, when I got back into it, I got back into it with The Walking Dead, purely on the basis of I was a big fan of the comic books, and I saw there was a Kickstarter for it. It was like, oh, I might as well, that'll be quite cool. Because I think at that point, when I got out of wargaming, I sold everything I had. I sold my paints, I sold all my miniatures, I got rid of all my stuff, and I got out of it for a number of years. Quite a few, actually. And then decided to get back into it, but more just because it was The Walking Dead. And I think it was that case of like, well, it's, I think by that point, I think it had been on TV as well at that point. So it was a case of like, well, The Walking Dead with the zombies, yeah. Like, well, do you want to play this game kind of thing? Similar kind of thing. Yeah. And I've experienced that with things like Star Wars Legion, with things like Marvel Crisis Protocol, games where people, that it's one less barrier, I think, to people who are not necessarily familiar with tabletop gaming or war gaming or miniature gaming kind of thing. Where I think Warhammer instantly screams kind of like to the untrained eye. I think Warhammer screams nerd, where something like you say, like Aliens, Predator, like Marvel, is like, or Lord of the Rings even is like, oh well I know what that is. That's all right. Like I watch that stuff. That's fine. It's weird.
It's it kind of sets. I think the media tie-in really helps.
100%, yeah.
Since the 80s, when He-Man came out, and it was like, right, this set of toys.
Yeah.
How do we get kids into this? We do a comic book. We do a cartoon. It applies context and narrative before you've even got the figures. So you can get them out of the box, and you've got a paradigm, a set of parameters set up. You get the same thing with Star Wars Legion, like. I played it with my colleague Michael, and we sat down and played a game. It only took one game to get the rules, and then the next game it's fluid. But there was no boundary there. He understood what was on the table. He could recognize the figures. It's the same with the Lord of the Rings stuff. You have context applied for you. Whereas with Warhammer, like, not even I fucking know. Like,
all the names, the names of the different units, and
and someone will just chime up from the corner of the Games Workshop and say that's not in the lore, and you're like, well, I fucking paid for the back.
Yeah, it is in mine. It's funny because it's funny because we've talked about like miniature agnostic games and kind of games that are just a rule set. You can use your own minis, and one of the stumbling blocks for me with those kind of games has always been. One, you need to really have somebody who wants to play that stuff with you. It's not, you can't like rock up to a local store and go, does anybody want to play this game where you can use any minis you want kind of thing. That's not generally doesn't get you a game of it. And the other one has always been that instant recognition of, well, I know what that is because I well, I can tell that's Captain America, I can tell that's Luke Skywalker kind of thing. Like that instant recognition of stuff. You don't get that when not only is it a game you're not familiar with, but you can use what the hell you want as well. So I think those kind of games work really well with an established group or an established set of friends who, or like we all buy into this together and we all learn it together kind of thing. But I think like that, like you say, that instant recognition is a massive breaking down of one barrier anyway, and getting new people started and stuff.
Yeah, and it helps them, I think, to a large degree, not just in a context and kind of internal making pew pew noises when you're moving around on the table to help your inner child.
Yeah.
It actually goes so far to help mechanics. So, like in my mate Michael's first game of Legion, he was very much aware this unit of stormtroopers probably shouldn't go near Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? It made so much sense. There's no way these 10 Moria goblins should go near Aragorn. It's not going to end well.
Yeah, that's the hero. He's the one with all the strengths, and these ones are not. These are the chaff. Yeah, but yes. You're right. That's exactly right. Bill Making Stuff says, I use the Blackmagic Pocket Camera, Pocket Cinema. Sorry, very manageable. I don't think I'm familiar with the Pocket Cinema. I know some of the Blackmagic stuff, but I don't think I remember that one. Discourse is saying that she thinks that she might be the only YouTuber with absolutely no capacity to work with cameras or understand what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not a gearhead at all. Sometimes that is a blessing in disguise. If what you're using is working, then sometimes it's best not to mess around and not to learn more about. Because the more you learn, the more you start to play around with bits and pieces, and that's when you screw it up. Oh, where was that one? Something just jumped off my screen there. Let me find where the chat was. I'll just dive in here. Old Hamid says, after trying several options, we now shoot everything on 4 bottom level iPhones, cheap, portable, and good enough. I think there is an element of good enough is good enough. You can definitely once you find something, because to be honest, like, for all I can tell, when somebody's using good gear and it's really cinematic and it looks fantastic and stuff, if that's a step too far and it means you're not producing any content, like, content is still better. Like, good enough content is better than having no perfect content, if you like, if that makes sense. Yeah. Luke's saying he didn't like the Lord of the Rings scale either. I like small scales, but when they go much smaller, Lord of the Rings feels like 28mm with less detail. Yeah, I find it's kind of like, it's just that little bit too small for me. Like, I'm not somebody that really wants to get into like sort of 10mm and like 16mm and that kind of scales and the smaller stuff. Like, to me, there's an enjoyment in painting the kind of slightly bigger stuff. I think I love painting vehicles and kind of like just bigger pieces, bits of terrain and stuff, really. So yeah, it helps. VJ, so VJ is from Australia and he visited the UK not too long ago and came and stayed here for a couple of days, and he said, Andy on YouTube, in my experience, is the same, or maybe after a couple of beers. So maybe after a couple of beers, then the more animated me comes out. That's what it might be. Speaking of a couple of beers, I went out on Saturday night, and I haven't been out in a while. And I went out with a mate, and I had a bit of a big one. And I tell you what, yesterday was an absolute write-off. I was hanging all day. I am definitely not built for hangovers anymore, that's for sure. So yeah, I won't be doing that again in a rush. Steve Wagstaff says, sounds like my person-to-person talk, but I have to clean it all up for the people I work with. Yeah, I would say I think I naturally... I don't really swear on my YouTube videos, but it's not like I swear more in general chat, like with friends and family. With my wife I do, not like my kids.
Yeah.
But I would generally say I was a lot more kind of loose with my words in real life. But I think it wasn't a conscious effort to not swear on camera or anything like that. I didn't feel it. It didn't add anything to me personally. Like, it didn't enhance the personality or anything for me. So I just generally didn't. Grimwolf is saying that Dave, I did the same when they lost the license. I assume we're talking about the Protoss stuff. Am I right? Am I right in thinking? Am I right in thinking Protoss became Archeon? Or have I confused two different companies there? I've got a feeling they did. And I saw going around this in a whole, even if they're not the same company, I just saw that who was it? Goober Town has either been out to Poland to Archeon, or he's done a video about how they make miniatures, and they make the miniatures. They make the miniatures for Conquest. So Archeon are making miniatures for the Conquest game as well. So I tell you what, there's all sorts of and to be fair, I just saw Ronnie from Mantic was in Poland getting some plastic miniatures made. So right. I wonder if that's where he was as well. I wonder if Archeon are suddenly becoming everybody's manufacturer now. It's moving away from the Far East. And starting to come to Poland now. Interesting, because there's a lot of Polish companies make gaming mats and stuff as well randomly. Like if you want to buy like a gaming mat, a lot of those companies are all Polish, and I don't know why that's suddenly like the center for gaming for neoprene mats. I don't know why that's the case. Where are we up to here? Discourse says you were perfectly chatty at the pub at UK Games Expo. I that was probably nervous, mate. That was probably me just being there. I did have a few Guinnesses as well, which always helps. It's never a bad thing. Bill making stuff. By the way, Bill, I love your stuff as well, mate. Great channel, by the way. He says, I freeze with the small talk. Yeah, I think it comes from years of I've worked in quite a corporate job, and I used to travel a lot, and I used to go to travel around Europe, and I used to have to go to like meetings with people where we had absolutely nothing in common other than the fact that we all worked for the same company. And I just hated that idle small talk of like trying to find some kind of common ground to we need to find something to talk about because we're stuck together for 2 or 3 days and we can't talk about work for the entire time. And I think I'm just scarred by it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Dingo Dundee says I have more time for my hobby than dealing with people. Yeah, I bet you do. Where are we up to here? Andrew saying I have a firm grasp of that Alien versus Predator timeline. I just don't know where To Catch a Predator fits. To Catch a Predator? I don't even think I'm aware of that. To Catch a Predator. Oh, that must be a different thing. That just dawned on me.
Yep.
You know, when you read something, you think, that doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah, nice one, mate. Luke Pigeon says, this is where Dave does a review, calls it the best game ever made, and cleans up on the second-hand eBay market for Alien vs. Predator. That's what you're doing, mate, isn't it? You shorten the price on them, and then ratcheting it up by doing a really big video about it. Everybody gets interested, and then you can sell them.
Oh,
buying up
I didn't do that with Terminator.
You must have done a good job. I think River Horse are talking about bringing it back.
I know, for fuck's sake. Yeah. They kind of they dropped me some messages about doing some future stuff together. I was like, yeah, brilliant. Love your stuff. The rule sets are great, and they're great to teach other people as well. They're so just intuitive. But then I was like, I did have to basically trick all these people into watching this, though.
Yeah.
It's an amazing game, but I had to lie through my teeth just to get it done. I don't think I can repeat that again.
No. You can only pull that trick so many times, can't you, before people go, hang on a second, this is probably not about Warhammer anymore. Where are we up to here? Grimwolf says, I got my Alien vs. Predator first edition box about a week after it was released compared to people waiting for the Kickstarter. Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff that I remember I remember seeing Prodos selling it at UK Games Expo, and people hadn't got their Kickstarter stuff, and it was like you could go and buy it on a shelf somewhere, which is a bit harsh. Discourse says some people mistake an encyclopedic knowledge of lore for a personality. You're not wrong there. I wouldn't say that there is any kind of universe. I'm trying to think now before I make this statement. I don't think there's any kind of universe like sci-fi or like film universe stuff that I am not like encyclopedic about. Like I quite like horror films. And I've got a pretty good knowledge of like horror stuff and like in history of like horror films and certain things, and I'm quite into my Marvel comics and stuff as well. But generally, I wouldn't say there was anything where I could profess to be like an expert on like lore and background and stuff like some people are. Yeah. VJ is saying Oh, hang on. I'll get back to VJ's comment here because it skipped ahead. There's a lot of stuff chatting about Archeon and Luke Pryor saying Archeon is the leftovers from Protoss. So they did become that company. I remember that now. I thought I'd heard that.
Leftovers from Protoss doesn't sound very promising.
No, I mean, I think Archeon have had their problems as well, which didn't help as well. But I think they seem to have come out the other side of it now. They've got the He-Man license and stuff like that now as well, and they're doing some stuff of their own bits and pieces. So I think they're I think I'm not saying they're a bad company now, but I think they've had history of failed Kickstarters and problems with supply and almost just carrying on from where they left off when they were Protoss. But like I say, I think it's picked up a bit now. Jez says, I bought everything released for Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core, and Slain, Kiss My Axe because of the IP partly, and knowing mates like those things to some extent, and I get the game. Yeah, it makes a big difference, mate, you're right. Charity Chain says, I always use my phone to stream on Twitch. I mean, it does 4K, so what's the point in wasting on pro cameras? I guess it's not a case of what's the point in wasting. I guess there's 4K and there's 4K. And they're not necessarily always like not all 4K is equal, shall we say? There's a big difference, like
because obviously I started on GoPros and I thought, oh, this looks absolutely fantastic, this is brilliant, and then moved up to the M50 and then put a cine lens on the end, and I was like, holy shit, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, big boys time. And then I put these old photography lenses on, and then you put an anamorphic on the end, and it doesn't even need to be a ridiculous lens.
Yeah.
It's once you realize that you have 2 extra levels, or if it's a zoom lens, 3 extra levels of control.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but again, you can say if you haven't. I did the video on how to take better pictures of your miniatures.
Yeah.
Which was a very long, unnecessarily wordy video. But there's a bit in it where my partner is filming me filming something, and she's using my phone, and then I whip the camera around to film her filming me, and the phone stuff looks beautiful in its own way. It's crispy, everything's clear, it's in focus. And then I pan around to her with like a 60s photography lens, and like the sun's behind her, and it's kind of filtering through the trees, it's shallow focus. There's like a halation of light around her sort of thing, and it's just like day and night, stark contrast. Obviously, it depends what you want, what kind of content you want to make, but there really is a difference. You can explain it with specs all you want, but it's kind of the intangibles that make the difference, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it's like there's stuff, like you say, shot on a 4K camera, like a 4K phone camera that looks really like you say, everything's in focus. The colors are beautiful, all that kind of stuff. It looks great, especially outdoor shots. But then if you do that same shot with a really good camera with a really good lens, then you go, right. Now I see what you mean, kind of thing. So it does work. I mean, the camera I'm using now, I noticed the difference on the camera purely just by buying a different lens. I didn't even realize the camera would look as good as it did. Just like, because it was one of those things where I'd always thought I'd like to try a different lens on it, but it's a hell of a lot of money to spend to be a bit disappointed. And it was the first time I'd met Luke. The first time I'd met Luke Fellows face to face. We chatted for ages, but we met face to face and stuff. And he went, "Stick this lens on your camera and see what you think." And I filmed some stuff, and then I went home, put the memory card into my computer, and went, "Oh fuck!" and bought the lens. Went and bought the lens there, and then that was the point where I was like, "Well, like now I've seen with my own eyes what it does. Now I understand where the money goes," kind of thing. And the lens cost about as much as the camera did, kind of thing. But it was like, I know what the difference is now. Duct Tape Madman, good name, says anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, because doing it poorly is better than not doing it. There is an element of, like, especially when people are first starting out with like YouTube channels and stuff, and I guess it's like with a lot of other stuff as well, but we're talking YouTube, is sometimes just doing the thing and making the content and editing the video and getting it out there, no matter if it's not perfect, just keep doing it, because that's all practice. It's all like, it's all learning. you're far better off making your mistakes on videos that not many people watch than making your mistakes on videos when you've kind of got a bit bigger. Like I've ballsed up many times doing stuff and made mistakes in the edits and not caught them and all that kind of stuff. But it's practice, isn't it? It's just like, so yeah, there is an element of like just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, 100%. Clavac saying, I love the Lord of the Rings scale because it's more realistically proportioned. I don't care about the size too much. You must have better eyes than me, that's all I can say. It's more like I'd be happy if they were like accurately proportioned but just bigger, like scaled up, like taller miniatures if you like. It's just the physical size for me, that's all. Fiji says you can save your next bender for when I come back. Yeah, well, do you know what it is? Speaking of like going on a bit of a drinky boozy, I've got a lad's holiday coming up in a couple of weeks' time. That I am definitely not prepared for. After Saturday's night to the pub, which I wasn't used to either, I'm definitely not prepared for going away for a few days with the guys. War Daddy's off. Thanks very much for coming in, buddy. John Bruce says, bigger figures, happily painting some 172nd Napoleonic Cossacks. Enjoying the chat, by the way. Thanks very much, mate. 172nd. I'm trying to work out what kind of scale that is. Is that tiny 172nd? In my head, it's...
I think that is, yes.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's why I couldn't work out if that was big scale or not. Yeah, it is small, isn't it? Yeah, Luke's saying Archeon was the leftovers from Protoss. That's right. Tony's saying he likes larger scales as well. They're kind of to old shites like me. But I do love the Lord of the Rings minis and don't mind the scale as I watched it flourish. I think it's one of those things that if you're a fan of the material, the source material, I think you'll, and especially the old Perry kind of sculpted miniatures and stuff as well. I think you kind of like like you're in love with the films, you're in love with the source material, you instantly want to love the miniatures as well. With me, I don't have that emotional connection to them really. So to me, they just seem like miniatures are a bit small for my old eyes kind of thing. I think that's what it is. Andrew Fairbanks says, didn't Ninja Division have an Alien versus Predator license? I'm not sure, mate. I don't remember seeing anything, but that doesn't mean that they didn't. Not something I'm familiar with. Steve Wagstaff says Archeon's been doing some amazing sculpts. Their dungeons and laser stuff's fantastic as well. Yeah, they sent me some of their dungeons and laser stuff actually. It is pretty nice actually. It's just you need a lot of it, so it gets expensive really quick. Because if you're building a dungeon out of all of these little bits of walls and tiles and stuff like that, like the packs that come, if you like, are lovely stuff inside. But you probably need about 30 of those boxes to build a decent sized kind of dungeon type thing. Might be alright for little small RPG type things. Dingo is saying Revel models are made in Poland. I didn't know that. I didn't know Revel stuff was made there. Jess is saying the Archeon Goobertown video was well interesting. I've not seen it, but I saw that he'd posted that he'd made a video about it and other people were saying it was good, but I've not watched it yet. SB says, I think the guy from Geek Villain is Polish but UK based. I've heard the name Geek Villain, but I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is, Dave? Is it?
Not got a clue on that one.
No, I've heard the name, and in my head I can kind of picture like a little green logo, but I've got no idea what they do, whether they're a shop, whether they're or what they do. Bill Making Stuff says, I always found a beep is funnier than an actual swear word on camera. I do know what you mean actually, and I have done that on occasion, like thrown a beep in there over the top of it, only because there's been times where I've thought this needs a swear word, and then there's been times where I've thought actually my 5-year-old son sometimes watches some of this stuff, and he's already picked me up on the odd swear word around the house and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to seen it online and going, well, you said it, like you told everyone it kind of thing. Spider Lord said that's what Protoss should have done all along. Great minis, shite games, and ability to produce them. Grimwolf says Archeon do the Masters of the Universe minis, the He-Man and the Cyberpunk red ones. I've not seen the Cyberpunk stuff, but they've got the Masters of the Universe license for the EU. Where is it? CMON, I think, have got the license for America. So they're completely different games. The two that came out. Yeah, Jez is saying he got hold of one of the Archeon Dungeons and Lasers Dragons, and it's lovely. Yeah, I've got one of those as well, mate. I built one up on a live stream a while ago, yeah, they're nice if you're looking for a dragon. Tony's saying there's been a lot of Polish talent for some time now. They have some brilliant creative minds. And this was a VG was saying, yeah, Goober's Archeon video was interesting, certainly making me reconsider my thoughts on them. Just wish my Ramparts Kickstarter wasn't there seed funding the mold and setup. Yeah, because I think the Ramparts Kickstarter was a bit of I think that was one of the first ones that they did after they switched from Protoss, and that was a bit of a mess up as well, I think, on that one. Let's skip ahead a little bit here, try and catch up on some of the chat. Where are we up to? Just the same, between the folks on screen and the folks in the chat, there's some top quality YouTubers knocking about here tonight. Thank you all for making entertaining stuff, folks. Thank you very much. It's nice to just to chat shit for a bit, innit? And just kind of like shoot the breeze, really talk about that kind of stuff. I must admit this, like, it's never been easier to start making YouTube videos than it is now, but there's also a lot of people making some really, really good stuff as well. It's not a case of like it's dead easy, but it's all unwatchable. There's some amazing stuff, and it does kind of, I guess, seeing good stuff pushes everybody else to do good stuff as well, because we all you know, like both me and you now do this for our full-time job kind of thing now. We do have bills to pay and stuff, so of course we want people to watch our stuff, and if people are watching other stuff because it's amazing, that it pushes you to want to do better, doesn't it? That's just how it is.
Yes.
There's a lot of chat, I think, going on here as well about Andrew's saying, found out a few days ago that I, in the US, could buy GW product in Poland for cheaper than from the UK. Delivery is about the same regardless. And I think you probably can, but I think the rules used to be from GW that you weren't allowed to send it out of your country. Which is because, like, Wayland Games used to send a lot of GW stuff over to the US.
Yeah.
And then they put something into their contracts to stop them shipping it out. Now, whether that's the same in Poland or it's the same in the EU, I'm pretty sure it used to be the case though that you weren't allowed to ship them out. And Old Hammer's saying, is the GB pound and the US dollar exchange rate causing any problems with UK manufacturers? I guess it will be. It's all happened quite quickly in the last few days, really, the whole kind of the crash of the pound a little bit. I think the more interesting thing is that everybody complains about the US dollar prices for GW products not correlating with the GB pound prices, if you like. But I think they do now. I think because of what's happened in the last couple of days. Like, I think it's the first time it's the same price, like equivalent, like kind of thing between America and that. Dingo Dundee saying it's cheaper to buy GW from England than it is in Australia. It might not be for much longer, to be fair, mate, the way it is. Let me skip down a little bit here. There's a bit of chat going backwards and forward about the FX rate. It says the benefit to UK manufacturers, it's cheaper to export. It is cheaper to export, but it depends if they're buying their raw materials in the UK. If they're importing raw materials, then they'll be paying more for them, so it kind of works both ways. Bit of chat going on there. Jez says the perfect is the enemy of the good. Yeah, I've heard that before as well, mate. Yeah, you're right. Also, it's 1/72nd scale is about 20 mil, about 22 mil. So yeah, that is tiny. Yeah, definitely too small for my old eyes. You've obviously never seen me trying to paint faces. If you think I'm going to paint, and that's on like a 30 mil scale or 32 mil scale. I am painting anything that small. Coffee and Pistachios says, missed this one. Busy evening. Look forward to watching the catch up. Take care all. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you. Jez says, I just painted a muckle big Cyclops fella and enjoyed painting it, even with my aging eyes. Yeah, I'm all right with big stuff though. I must admit, it's like I quite enjoy painting the Marvel miniatures purely on the basis of they're an individual character, so I don't have to paint like 10 of them. Like it doesn't, like for example, when I painted the Hulk miniature to get the colour green for his skin, it wasn't like I had to replicate what I'd done, so I just kept layering up lighter and lighter greens until it looked right, kind of thing, till I was happy with it. And I knew I didn't have to do it again, so it was fine. I didn't have to write down my recipes of what paint I just kept moving, and it was quite a therapeutic sort of process of painting it like that. But they are a bigger scale, so they're a bit of a bigger scale anyway. And the fact you've just got to paint one of them, and I find that quite relaxing. Just to I'm going to paint one of them tonight, kind of thing. But smaller stuff, I think I'd really struggle with that. But do you do a lot of sort of like diorama type stuff, or bigger scale stuff, or like sort of display boards or game board type stuff? Because I've seen some stuff on your videos, but is that just generally for a video as opposed to like just because you fancy making one? Is it?
It's a bit of both. I fancy making it, so it's going to go in a video kind of thing.
Yeah.
I used to do bits and bobs for commission and to spec, but I just can't be bothered with commission anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of do what I want, know what's in my wheelhouse, look it up, and then play to my strengths in the final thing, basically. But I do now and used to do a bit of everything. I've just got into Gundam kits.
I saw
that's
that
a whole new scale.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new thing I'm going to have to look at. And I want to make dioramas for them. And at some point, absolute clickbait, I want to play Adeptus Titanicus with a Japanese cityscape and Gundams.
That would be amazing.
So, yeah.
but that is exactly how YouTube works, though, isn't it? Like knowing exactly how to play it, like you playing into the strengths of like there's Gundam fans out there, there's Warhammer fans out there, like being able to like, well, we say a clickbait, but being able to title it and tease it in the right way is half the battle. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good your stuff is if nobody clicks it. Like it doesn't matter how good your video is. That's all.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's how it works, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bill Making Stuff said he's off. Good night to you lot. Thank you very much for popping in, mate. Nice to see you. Alex Knott says, how are you finding the Black Scorpion Tombstone minis, Dave? I have to talk myself out of purchases with every email they send me. I'm
finding them great. They look very good in the drawer that I've put them in and haven't painted them.
I'm not familiar with them, mate, so I don't know what they are, but are they?
They're gorgeous.
What minis are they? What are they?
Do I have one behind me? That'd be very convenient if I did. Oh, there she is. Yeah. So they're, I think, like 32 millish Wild Westy stuff. And they're just gorgeous. At a wargame show, I just kind of bought in hardcore. You spent so much, you got the rule book, and I was like, okay, sure thing.
Nice.
So I got, Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah,
it's basically that, but the miniatures are fucking gorgeous, and it's just one guy by himself that makes them. All kinds of stuff. You can be historical if you want. Do like train robberies and shit. Or you can get undead cowboys, or like ghost Native Americans or whatever. So you can have the Weird West vibe or the real West vibe if you want. And the rules I've flicked through, they look really nice and simple. So
it is an interesting. Sounds nice.
Yeah, hit him up.
Yeah. Let's have a little look here. Where are we up to? Dingo Dundee says Airfix in the 70s was his introduction to wargaming, 1/72nd scale. I never really got into the Airfix stuff. Did you build model kits when you were a kid? I never really got into that, like sort of tanks and airplanes.
Straight to Warhammer.
Yeah. I didn't even really get into it as a kid. I was proper I was a proper sporty kid basically. I was like sort of playing sports and running and playing football and stuff. And I didn't get into it until like early 30s, something like that. So SB says Geek Villain do battle mats, really nice fleece ones that you can stretch over hills. Yeah, I recognize the name, but I don't remember. Like I can't say I've ever come across like their store or like a website or anything like that. John Bruce says I think there's a lot of commission groups out in Poland. John says homebrew rules with our Airfix and Matchbox tanks and figures on a buddy's green carpeted basement floor. Sounds good, mate. Tony Howells is ketchup on bacon butties. We have this weird kind of chat that always comes back to bacon sandwiches on these live streams, and I don't know where it started. I can't even remember now. But I've got to ask you now: you're a fan of a bacon sandwich, mate? You like a bacon butty?
All kinds, all shapes, all sizes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you put ketchup on or would you put brown sauce on? That generally is the kind of the dividing line that we have on this chat. Are you a brown sauce with bacon, but you say ketchup?
I'm also kind of like a sweetener, sugar, no sweetener, no sugar kind of guy in my tea. It depends how I feel. Mostly ketchup.
Yeah, just depends how which way the wind blows, kind of thing. How are you feeling on the day?
But where do you go if there's bacon and sausage in a sandwich?
If there's both. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before.
Got you now, motherfucker.
You have as well, mate. Do you know what it is? I think I'd probably go with ketchup if they're both in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the sausage becomes the dominant force. I think that's what it is. Because I would always go ketchup with sausage and brown sauce with bacon. But if you put both in, I think the sausage is the winner. I think that's what it is.
Okay. Because normally it's sausage and brown, isn't it?
Yeah. But I would go the other way. See, there you got the hard hitting questions here, mate. We're going to do world hunger after this one, but there's a bit of chat backwards and forwards there, obviously with the change in the price of the pound and stuff, the value of the pound, and about how like a lot of materials like metals and resins and stuff are largely priced in US dollars and stuff. Old Hamid says, gents, what is your favourite game at this time? Have you got any particular game that you're gaming at the minute, mate? Anything you're learning to play, or anything you're playing more regular than anything else?
I think when I do play, it is Legion because it's just so accessible. You can play it with anyone. Although the other night I did play the newish Kill Team. I have to keep saying the new Kill Team. Because everyone I introduced to the new Kill Team is like, oh yeah, I've got the data cards that I got from the starters that I got.
No,
look at them. Put that shit right back in your bag.
What did you think of it? Because I've not played the new one.
It's really good.
Yeah.
For me, that is. I have a real hard time with GW rule sets in general, apart from like the first edition Lord of the Rings I've tried. But the new Kill Team it's fast, which I like, and
interesting.
Things actually happen, and there's no tables to look at. There's it's more. Have you tried Warcry?
Yeah, I love Warcry. Yeah, big fan of Warcry.
Yeah. It's got a Warcry vibe, I would say, in terms of how the stats kind of just speak for themselves, and there's very little to think about, and you can just kind of think about what you actually want to do in the game in terms of doing a narrative kind of thing. Yeah.
I might give it a try at some point. I think when it was announced and the rules started to kind of get talked about, if you like, there was still a lot of things that sounded quite complex, and I think I've just never had the opportunity to have a demo of it to find out for myself, really. But I think I'd been burned enough by other stuff that I thought I'm not going to spend my money to go through all this again, kind of thing. So I think that's what it was. But yeah, I'm quite open to giving it a try and stuff, I think, just to, but interesting.
They're still doing that, still doing the bullshit with the books is the problem.
And that's what
every time I knew.
Yeah, it's kind of what puts me off a bit. I do think that I'd probably get away with like just buying, if there was one of those box sets that they do where there's two armies in it and some nice terrain. If I found one that I quite liked both armies, I could almost, I think, just stop there and just go, actually, that's kind of enough for how often I'll play this. That's probably enough as a nice little project. Paint it all up, play a few games, and then if I really got hooked into it, maybe go from there. But I do almost feel coming into it with my eyes open, going. But I know if I like it, I'll have to buy all these bits and pieces. I think that's almost negatively affected me before I've even started, I think.
Yeah.
Where are we up to here? John saying I'm over retirement age this year. I just have a magnifying headband. I've tried the what do you call these? Not the headband ones, but the ones you can get which are like just glasses with interchangeable lenses and stuff with the little lights on. I've tried those. And they give me a headache after a while if I'm wearing them for a bit too long. So so these days I tend to just have a really good light. And paint something big enough that I don't need to magnify it. I think I've just that's my sweet spot. I'll probably get to about 60 and I'll be painting like busts and stuff though, just to like just to try and keep me in the painting.
Roman Greco ones.
Yeah, 1-to-1 skill. VJ says you don't have to repeat the Hulk's skin until She-Hulk mini comes out. I've actually got the She-Hulk mini already made. I haven't painted it yet. However, I'm sure there are lots of different green skin tones. I'm sure she doesn't have to be a perfectly same green as her cousin. John Ashley Smith says right now his top game for his little group is Gaslands, followed by BattleTech. But you know what? BattleTech is one of them things where I hear about it a lot. I have never ever seen anybody play it. Like, I've never been to a gaming group or a gaming store and ever seen it being played. It's weird.
But the hype on it is hype, though.
Yeah.
Game stores saying, "Oh shit, we sold out of BattleTech," and I'm like, "To who?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I'm oblivious to the whole thing. It's not my kind of thing. From what I understand about the game, it doesn't seem like the kind of game I would enjoy. But I hear like the hype about it. But then I've never seen a model in the flesh. I've never seen it on a shelf in a shop. It's like this weird mythical thing that everybody talks about. Well, I don't even. Maybe the whole world's in collusion with each other. Just pretend that Andy BattleTech's a thing. we don't ever have to make anything or sell anything. Just tell him it's a thing. Big Dave says Dave's got such a soothing voice. I could listen to him going to sleep. If that's a bit weird, then I apologise. There you go, mate. You've got a sideline in audiobooks there, I think.
Absolutely. My partner falls asleep when I'm trying to talk to her as well. So yeah, there's definitely something there. Yeah.
Tony says, talking about big scale, I quite fancy painting up a big scale Andrea mini for a change of pace. Might need to visit Hystrex again. Hystrex, I'm assuming Hystrex is a company and not some kind of operation. Steve Wagstaff says, off for another work meeting. I'll watch the rest back when I'm done. And it's evening here on the US West Coast. Have a good one. Take care, mate. Thank you very much for popping in. Mark's also praising your soft vocal styles as well, mate. Finding them calming. John Meach, says, small scales are not really any more difficult. They just need different techniques. Do you know, I think what it is, though, I think I generally paint is a relaxing experience. For me, it's a kind of a mental switch off and a bit of a tranquil moment. And I think when it's not something I can see clearly, to me, then it feels like just getting the job done. You know what I mean? As opposed to taking the enjoyment in it. I think it's a personal thing, really. Spiderlord saying that the Gunpla stuff, like the Gundam stuff, makes GW's plastics look basic. What did you think of the kit? I've not seen your video, mate. The one I saw that you had done one, but I've not seen it yet. What did you think of it?
I haven't done the video yet.
Did I just see a picture of something that you've done?
Yeah. I'm teasing the fuck out of it because I know that it will probably tank with my regular audience. So yeah.
That's why I was seeing it.
Yeah. Honest to fucking God, like the engineering in that stuff is horrifying.
Yeah.
And it's cheap, and it's intuitive, and it's basically everything that Games Workshop is not.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy building model kits, right?
Yeah.
Like I enjoy opening a box of fresh GW, huffing the fumes, and then putting it together.
Yeah.
But there are stages in the building process that are frustrating, and if I do it with like my partner or friends, then they'll glue themselves together. I will glue myself together at some point.
Yeah.
There's things to file down, there's things to clean up, there's infuriating things here and there. A lot of the times the instructions mislabel a part, so you're trying to stick a fucking leg onto an arm joint. And I do enjoy Games Workshop models. I enjoy most models. Maybe not old Airfix as much, but what Bandai has captured, and even with their Star Wars kits and their Pokemon kits, is the building process is a joy in itself. And when you come towards the end, you're kind of reluctant to finish almost because it's been so nice. It's like Lego dialed up to 11. And I was trying to describe it to a friend recently. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say Lego was the word I had in my head there. Like building a Lego kit,
Yeah. I was trying to describe it to a friend recently, and I basically said, like, all the stuff I wanted to recapture when I got back into Warhammer, like from my youth,
Yeah.
and putting stuff together, it wasn't hitting the spot. When I put together an entry grade Gundam kit, and it took like 45 minutes, the entire process felt magical. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and just had a bit of music on, bit of Limp Bizkit on, and I thought, fuck, I'm 12 again. Do you know what I mean? And then immediately was like, right, I'll do another one. Fuck it. Tea can wait. I'll feed the cat. My tea can wait. I'll do another one. And the friend that gave them to me, I was like, right, how much money do you want for them 3 kits I saw at your house?
Yeah.
And it's just such a rewarding process because things go together and they fit, and there's a satisfaction to it. And again, they're cheap. They're manufactured in a first world country like Games Workshop.
Yeah.
But they're so much cheaper. But the design and just the intelligence behind it and the love that you can feel put into it is just so much more. It's really weird.
It's strange that, because like I don't particularly enjoy building models. It's the one part of the hobby that, like, for me, it's a means to an end. I don't really enjoy it. The clipping, the scraping mold lines, the cleaning bits up. I don't really like it. But I do get loads of joy from building a Lego kit. So it's not the it's not the assembly I don't like. It's the experience, I think. Like at the minute, I'm going through a bit of a hobby slump at the moment, and I've been sent like a number of different kits from different manufacturers, kind of wanting to show bits off, and I've found some of them really frustrating. And I won't go in at the minute because I'll be making a video about them, so we'll keep watching. But I found some of them really disappointing and really frustrating. Just that is, as in, like, these are premium prices. Like, some of these are like 75 quid for 3 models or something, or 4 models. Like, they're not cheap. Like, I haven't had to pay for them, thankfully. Somebody sent them to me to have a look at. But if I had to spend my own money on them, I'd be frustrated with it, kind of thing. And I don't enjoy the building at the best of times. But these have just made it to the point of frustration where actually it's like it's making me not want a hobby, because I'm trying to build something to sit and paint, and I'm getting frustrated with the stuff that I'm trying to sit and build. So it'll be interesting actually to build something like that, to see whether it's just, whether that like you say, the experience, because I do love building Lego kits. If Lego kits weren't so expensive, I'd probably just build Lego kits as a hobby kind of thing. But they're more expensive than GW stuff.
Yes, so, they are.
So somebody's saying they make GW plastics look primitive. That was what sparked that one. Discord says the Black Scorpion minis are actually some of my favourite minis of all time. I do remember the name Black Scorpion now, but I don't think I've ever seen any of the minis. Another vote there from Chessie Kennedy saying another vote for Dave's voice. Meditation ready. No idea how health and safety frog stays awake.
He's asleep right now. He's like Gandalf. He sleeps with his eyes open. So he's gone. And Discourse is saying, absolutely beautiful and dripping with style. I'm assuming that means that the Black Scorpion stuff. Duct Tape Madman says there's a free rule set out there for playing the 1/144th scale Gundam models, Mobile Suit Gundam Skirmish. So somebody's put a rule set together. There you go, mate. But I'm still gonna say it's Adeptus Titanicus in the video title, aren't I?
Of course you do. That's exactly what you have to do. Yeah. Because Warhammer is now the universal name for anything that's made out of plastic. John said he's building a couple of squads of Gundam artifact kits for homebrewed rules at the minute. Disco says sausage is greater than bacon. I'm not sure. I would
on sausage, mate.
It does, doesn't it? That's the thing. Do you know what? I would say you can generally get a bacon sandwich and it'll always be a good bacon sandwich. But I think you can get some really awful sausage sandwiches. I think yeah. I think that's why I would always tend to go bacon. But there you go. Mark says brown unless there's egg, and then it's red sauce. There you go. I wouldn't put a fried egg into a bacon or a sausage sandwich, if I'm honest. And that is purely the explosion of the yolk and the chances of it dripping down the front of my clothing. That's why I would avoid it, I think.
Yeah.
There you go. VG saying discussing the big issues here on Blackjack Legacy. The questions that count today. This is what people want to hear. Never mind about world economy. Never mind about heating bills and all this kind of stuff. People want to know what colour sauce do you have with your sandwiches. That's what it is. Luke saying Star Wars Legion's his jam as well. Big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
How we do? God, I got well behind the chat now. I'm going to have to try and skip ahead a bit here. VG says I prefer Kill Team 18 to Kill Team 21, and Andrew Fairbanks says Kill Team 21 would be better if they used real numbers. I think that's the kind of the general thing, isn't it? Is that the whole thing with when they came up with that little weird measuring widget thing that had the different symbols on, just seemed to be a bit of a that's just there because it needed to be different kind of thing. Colin saying Dead Zone's better though, and Discourse saying not all the Kill Team boxes have the rule book, only certain ones. Yeah, I remember seeing that as well. I think like the new one that's out now, I think has it in, but some of them, like some of the interim ones, don't, do they? No. VJ says, could I ask Dave if he plays any card games or RPGs? Are you into your role playing, mate, or any card games or collectible card games?
Yeah. Pretty niche stuff. I play Star Wars Young Jedi, Star Trek customizable card game, basically anything Decipher. So everything dead, basically. Yeah. Got into Magic a little bit recently. It didn't grip us, which is probably a good thing because we can't afford to be gripped by Magic.
No.
And yeah, that's about it. I've tried to get a Vampire Masquerade group going with like an old book I had from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's everyone who's trying to get an RPG group going knows how hard that is. So yeah.
Oh, I can imagine, mate. Yeah. Card game. VJ is saying he's kind of fell down the Marvel Champions rabbit hole. It's funny actually because I bought the Marvel Champions card game, like the base set, at Christmas because it was in the sale, and I needed to spend so much extra to get free shipping. So it turned out it hardly cost me anything really, and I still haven't played it yet. I've punched all the bits out and got it ready to go, and I've still never got around to playing it. So I should probably give it a try at some point.
Yeah.
John says, I'm 55 and haven't had difficulty seeing my hobby work yet, although I wear glasses to play video games. I think it depends on your eyesight, doesn't it? Whether you're long-sighted, short-sighted, and that kind of stuff. I struggle, I'll be honest, like my eyesight these days now, if I'm sitting like reading my phone and I'm on my phone for any length of time and then I look up to watch TV, like my eyes don't don't focus. Like it takes longer for them to focus on the TV kind of thing because they've been trained on something really close. So that's just an age thing. Like, and I've been to get my eyes checked out and stuff like that, and my like the optician was like, well, you can have glasses, but you'll just still have the same problem kind of thing. Like it's not like because it's the you'll need varifocals basically. Like if you're going to start going down that route, and it's like. Yeah, that's it. As long as I can still drive, like I'm all right, kind of thing. If I need glasses to drive, then I'll start wearing them. Alex Nutt says the Marvel Crisis Protocol figures are such good fun to paint. Each one's a little mini project. Yeah, that's kind of the enjoyment I've got from them, mate. Yeah. Jess says, I've got an angle poise LED light in a ring with a magnifying glass in the middle, and my mid-40s eyes appreciate it. I struggle with the magnifying glasses because the depth perception, because the only stuff I really need the magnifying glass for is like detailed bits like faces and eyes and like trying to paint anything of any real kind of sort of fiddly bits. But then because it's a magnifying glass, the depth perception all goes, and I end up like right, like am I there yet? Am I there yet? I splodge like I was there kind of thing. At least with the glasses, you get the like binocular vision, which helps for like distance. But yeah, I end up getting a bit of a headache having to like take them up to like get paint and stuff and putting them back on to paint them in. For me, it's just not worth the hassle. Bit of chat about BattleTech. All these people talking about this game that doesn't exist. But VJ says he's considering the Alpha Strike starter box when he comes across a copy. Spiderlord saying Alpha Strike box looks good value. What it is, 13 mechs plus scenery for 60 quid. See, there's this mythical game with loads of models and scenery in it for 60 quid. There's no way it can exist. Everybody seems to know the same name for it though. Yeah, VJ saying the old Vampire Masquerade in the books are the best. He still has his as well. Luke Pigeon says you need a well-placed egg yolk poke to prevent mouth explosions. That sounds like a lot of hard work, that, mate. VJ saying we can play Champions when I come back again. Great game. I'll have to give it a go, mate. I'll have to give it a go. Luke saying he's got everything for Marvel Champions. His cassette case storage solutions become a hobby of its own. You'd appreciate that, mate, with your love of retro stuff. That there seems to be people storing the Marvel Champions card games in old cassette tape boxes. And then storing
That's how
them
we
in.
used to do it as kids.
Yeah, that seems to be a thing. Captain Mad says an egg that bursts is called an OYB because when it goes down your shirt, you go, "Oh, you bastard!" Oh, I like that. Have you seen you probably play Champions on TTS? Yeah, I'll have to check that one out, mate. Yeah, and yeah, Spider-Lord's saying the same thing as well. Marvel Champions is a great game as well. Well, mate, we're getting up to about 5 to 11 now, so we'll start and wrap it up there. We'll get ready for our 11 o'clock call there. First of all, while you're here, mate, thank you so much for joining it tonight. It's been nice just to chat shit and shoot the breeze and have a bit of a natter. You're welcome anytime, mate. Anytime you're feeling that you want to come and hang out, just let us know, mate. We'll do it again. For those folks in the chat, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the folks that have donated tonight as well, and the new Patreons. Much appreciated. I'll put the links to Dave's channel and the video I was talking about in the description as well if you're watching this back on the rerun. If you haven't subscribed to MS Paint, first of all, why not? Second of all, please go and do it. You will not be sorry. You'll definitely get some cool stuff over there, and he's a better cinematographer than I'll ever be anyway, so you'll get some good stuff over there. Spider-Lord says cool stream. Dingo saying he enjoyed the show as well. Thank you very much, folks. Don't forget, this is your last week for the Forgotten challenge that we're doing, for the Blackjack painting challenge. If you just paint a mini that you've kind of forgotten about this week, and get them in, email them to me, blackjacklegacy@gmail.com, and we'll get them on to next Monday's live stream. And other than that, folks, take care, everyone, and I will see you all next week. Bye now.